Hello students, and welcome to a brief video overview of our remaining classwork mostly. You have an essay this week to read by Jim Harper. It's called Web Users Get As Much As They Give. It was the opposing editorial to Nicholas Carr's essay on privacy. Now they both actually are on the same page about some things about privacy, but Harper runs a business that depends on cookies. He's part of a government watchdog group organization, and he explains this all as a trade-off. So go back and think about Thomas Sowell in a sense. So in other words, if you're going to give up some of your privacy, you get something in return. Customized searches maybe, so think of if you're shopping for a particular type of car, say a small SUV, and every time you go online you find ads for those cars. Well, I don't suppose that's such a bad thing, but when they're after your email, phone number, and other personal information, that gets problematic. So Harper, like Carr, uses a lot of sources in his essay and takes a different stance on this. So these are very technical essays. They're about the technical online world we live in. And as I said, both authors use a lot of sources to support their arguments. Their titles, the title of Nicholas Carr's essay is best expresses the thesis, I should say. The same is true of Jim Harper's essay. The title, you could support the thesis in other ways, but the title really explains his thesis. So he takes a bit of a different slant on this. Now, what I want you to be mindful of when you read these essays is how well these authors integrate sources, and they directly attribute who those sources are. In your case, when you're writing a final essay, you're going to be using MLA parenthetical references for both direct quotes, unless you use direct attribution, and you're also going to use parenthetical references for paraphrases. Now remember that, because it's important. Some students will paraphrase a lot of material from an author that is not common knowledge and fail to cite it, and they just go and cite quotations. So that's not really citing fully or correctly. And since you're not working out of a textbook with an MLA guide, citation guide, I refer you to Purdue Owl Lab Online, Purdue. That will show you how to do MLA citations and other formats too, APA, but we do MLA in English. So you can just browse around there for certain questions, or sometimes you can phrase a Google question about some particular facet of citing, and it will give you an answer on Purdue Owl Lab if you put that in the search, much like you do when you do a search and you add Reddit on it. Sometimes you get some good information if it's an obscure topic that someone has experience with. So that said, do pay attention to the conventions of sourcing and citations. I do let you know in your drop boxes if you're having an issue with this. If it's bad enough, you lose some points, in some cases all your points. But it's really practice for these essays, because you're going to need this skill going forward. You're not just going to have to do citations in 101. You're going to have to do more in 102 and other classes too. You're going to have to know how to do this properly. So it's a good skill, and the best way to learn it, I find, is by doing it. There are so many minuscule rules. I still have to consult Purdue Owl Lab Online sometimes, and I used to be a journalist. That's a whole different kind of rules, but there's things you have to do for that as well. So when you cite, try to heed those rules. And I did throughout the semester, the one area I didn't really police citing properly, I would say, is in your definitions and question answer assignments. I know a lot of you just pasted them from the source, a good deal of you, which I suppose is fine if it's helping you learn it, but I didn't, make a fuss over that. But if you're going to pull a definition into your essay, you would want to quote it, paraphrase it, whatever, and cite it properly, okay? So MLA parenthetical references, Purdue Owl Lab Online, remember that. So back to Nicholas Carr and Jim Harper, who talk about privacy here. It's an interesting issue. Here's an old poll. I don't know how old it is, but it's from the University of Pennsylvania. 1,500 adults surveyed, and you could see a lot of Americans, most Americans, don't feel it's okay to have their data harvested and collected. So keep that in mind when you read Jim Harper's essay this week. So, and if you select, you're going to have 2 prompts to choose from when you get to your final paper next week. You're going to have the first prompt is about plagiarism. Now you have 2 choices in that prompt, A and B. You could pick, they're just a different way of writing it. So make sure you let me know specifically which one you chose if you choose the plagiarism one. The second prompt has only 1 choice, and it's on privacy on these 2 essays. So, which brings us to plagiarism, and you see someone rubbernecking here and looking at someone else's essay. So the second topic is plagiarism, and I like to include this one because both Trip Gabriel and Colleen Wenke's articles are also very well sourced, and they integrate sources well. Colleen Wenke writes an academic essay. She wrote that for university publication, okay, and it might have been for a college class too, a composition class, I don't remember, but usually if someone writes a really good essay at some universities, they put it in the school publication. So, at any rate, she uses a lot of sources to support a persuasive argument. Trip Gabriel, by contrast, is writing less of an argument. He's almost looking at plagiarism as a foregone conclusion. It's more of an article with a lot of supporting sources. But do pay heed to the wide range of sources he uses and integrates into that article. That is a lot of supporting evidence, okay? That's we live in a fact-based world, and you know, even if we're experts, people want to see the trail of expertise you're citing. So whether you're in journalism or medicine or sciences, engineering, you name it. So, okay, so do be mindful of that. And I thought I had some more visuals for you here, but maybe I don't. Here we go, plagiarism. Yeah, and here's the all-watching eye of privacy. So, monitoring online. Anyway, they're both fairly relevant topics, even more so today with the new technologies like ChatGPT coming out that are going to create other issues, both good and bad, I would imagine. So do be mindful of all these things. And the prompt, you know, where if you're looking at this on Saturday, if you scroll down, you'll see the For Next Week section. You'll see the prompt for the final essay. You can start working on it this week, get a head start on it. And of course do Jim Harper's questions, answers, and forum first. And you'll also be having an upcoming final exam in the near future, and that will be the week after the final prompt, and I think that's going to be it for the class for the most part. Yeah, this is a shorter class. This. Scratch that thought. I use this video for multiple classes, but you'll have a final exam coming up shortly after anyway, so be mindful of that. So that said, shoot me an email if you have any questions or concerns, and I will see you all online.